Let's get on with today's study. Let me turn it up a little bit. We're in Mark 4, 1 through 11. And he began again to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude that he entered into a ship. And he sat in the sea, and the whole multitude was by the sea on the land, and he taught them many. Well, I can't see because of the Zoom. Whatchamacallit, for some reason, is just sticking up. And he taught them many things by parables, and said unto them his doctrine, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. So, this is the parable of the sower and the seed. And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and fowls came up and devoured it. And some fell on stony ground, where there was not much earth, and immediately sprang up. So the first one was goats. And here's the second one here. Immediately sprang up because it had no depth of the earth. And then when the sun came up, it scorched it up because it had no root and withered away. Those were goats. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it and yielded no fruit. So they bare no fruit. John 15. So those were goats. And others fell on good ground. Oh, here's a sheep. And did yield fruit. They bared fruit. John 15. That sprung up and increased. You got to bear fruit. Faith without works is dead. Remember that. And brought forth some 30, some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, He that have ears, let him hear. And when he was alone, they that were about him were with the 12, and asked him about the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. In other words, this is confusing language to them. Jesus is the Word. Jesus spoke in parables. The Word is one big parable. The Word is confusing to all goats or lost sheep. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and it brake in pieces in the iron, the brass, and clay, and the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. So Daniel's told him, now you know that you're this head of gold and what's going to come to follow all the way through the end of time. And the dream is certain, Daniel said. And Daniel continued, and the interpretation thereof, sure. So he's telling the king, what I just told you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors to him. The king answered and said unto Daniel, and said, Of a truth that it is, your God is the God of gods, the Lord of kings, a reveler of secrets, seeing that thou could reveal this secret. And the king made Daniel a great man, and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief and the governors, and over all the wise men of Babylon. So Daniel's in charge of the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers, all of them. Daniel does not practice their pagan wisdoms, astrology, or any of it, but he is in charge of them, because they were all, Daniel and the rest of them were lumped in as just wise men. Then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat right there at the gate of the king. I'm glad you're here. Love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.